Hello and welcome to Fourth Down Fiasco, your go-to podcast for an in-depth exploration of the NFL universe. Each week, we dissect the highs and lows of last week's games, offer expert analysis, player insight, and more. I'm your host, Danny, and with me today is my co-host, Tanner.
Shalom.
The rundown of today's podcast will go like this. In our first segment, we'll look over last week's games and highlights. Yes, we'll talk about the Vikings and Raiders game with how interesting that game was. Then after a short break, we'll talk about the upcoming slate of games for this upcoming week. I'll look at the overall playoff picture, and then we will give you our most and least confident games for the fall next week. After that, our third segment, we will send you over to JPry the Sports Guy, featuring his Locksmith Segment, and then we'll finish it off with a 5-round best helmets of all time draft. So, with that all said, let's get into the action. So, let's get going with this Steelers-Patriots game.
Yeah, what a so I mean we'll start with the greatest stat of all time, the most cherry pick stat. It was the first ever team that was above 500 to lose back-to-back games that were teams that were at least 5 games under 500. So that honor goes to the good old 2023 Steelers.
I love that.
Alongside the other best Steelers stat of my lifetime, the 2020 Steelers being the worst 11-0 team of all time.
Yeah.
So,
and along with those records, you also set the record for lowest over-under in NFL history, which, looking at it now,
22.5.
The closing was 22.5, which got hit in the first half, which is very sad because I was expecting.
Yeah, all from the Patriots.
Yeah, all from the Patriots. Yeah. I was expecting your game to turn out like the Vikings. We'll get to that one later. But Zeke looked like the Cowboys Zeke with Stevenson out. What did he finish with? So, yeah.
Zeke,
he had 2 touchdowns, both receiving, but he finished with 68 receiving yards, 68 rushing yards, 72 receiving yards. He only averaged 3.1 yards on the ground, but your defensive front is absurd, so that's reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's average for what you guys give up.
Typically, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to Bailey Zappi. He decided to play football again, I guess. I don't know. Ended with 243 touchdowns and a pick.
No, I mean, again, it's also 2 weeks in a row for the good old Steelers where they had 2 ex-Steelers have the best game of their season. Yeah. James Conner had the best game of his season last week, or I don't know if it was the best game of the season actually, but it was up there.
It was a solid performance. Over 100
it was
yards
one of
and
his
touchdowns.
Yeah, it was one of his best games for sure. And then Juju having easily the best game of his season, with 4 for 90. No, I mean this is just what the Steelers have done since, I don't know, 2010, 2011, where they will win games they're not supposed to, and they will lose games they're supposed to win. I mean, this is a game that was extremely winnable. I mean, the Patriots put up 21 points in the first half and then did nothing for the rest of the game. The Steelers slowly crawled their way back, and just came up short. They couldn't put it together all through the fourth. I mean, they would have scored a field goal, and I mean, it took so much for them to get to their 18 points. I mean, they had a punt, they had like an almost pick 6, like it was crazy. I don't know. They're terrible. They're probably gonna still finish 9-8. Like usual, because what they're gonna do is they're probably gonna lose a lot of the rest of their games, but they're gonna beat the Seahawks and the Ravens, the 2 teams they're not supposed to beat, and then they'll lose to, they lost the 2-2-10 teams in a row. and that's just what they do. That's just that's good old Pittsburgh Steelers football.
Good old Pittsburgh football.
So I don't know. I'm optimistic about next week because I'm always optimistic about this godforsaken team.
Yeah, you finish just above 500 every single year.
Yeah, finish just above 500. Sometimes make the playoffs depending on the playoff picture.
That's true.
And get blown out by somebody who deserves to be there.
Like the Browns.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how Joe. Yeah, we'll come back to Cleveland. Yeah. I don't know. Do you have anything more to say about?
Your end zones looked cool. That's all I can really say about.
They did look cool. They did look great. Also, was at home, which is great.
Yeah.
Love to. At least it's a familiar sight for a lot of the home attendance at a Steelers game.
Yeah.
Watching the Patriots go in there and embarrass us.
So it doesn't at the final score. It doesn't look embarrassing, but if you watch the game, it was pretty embarrassing.
It was very embarrassing. And especially since people were talking about the Patriots as the worst team in the league this year.
Yeah, I think Carolina has them beat, but
they do. But there was a conversation before this week.
Oh yeah, especially because they were 0-4 in the last 4 weeks, giving up 42 total points or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, if their offense averaged 11 points, they would have been 4-0.
Crazy that this game was 21-18.
With both,
I really thought this was going to be an Iowa game. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, about Iowa, I saw a video today. Their quarterback was at practice was throwing like 40-yard bombs, like in stride to their wide receiver, and they didn't do that in the games. Whole different subject, but absurd. I was like, what's going on?
Dude, can you imagine being a Steelers fan and an Iowa fan?
I'd cry.
Like, what do you do? Like,
watch rugby.
Do you just hate offense? Yeah, like you just like, yeah, offense sucks. Like, I just want to watch the Steelers go out there and embarrass themselves, and I want to go watch the Hawkeyes do the same thing too.
Yeah, it's like watching.
At least the uniforms are the same, So
only had to buy one. But it's like watching a pitcher stole in the MLB. Like, oh, I hope it's 1-0 by the end of the game.
Yeah, right.
But all right. Let's talk about the game that we thought was going to be worse than it actually ended up being. So, Tampa, Atlanta. I thought this game was going to end. You said a little before, like 13-10, something so stupid like that. But finished 29-25. I did not see that coming.
It actually puts the we didn't talk about this before we started either, but the Bucs are now in a playoff spot. Top of their division.
All three NFC South teams are tied at 6-7.
Yeah, all three. We don't need to mention the fourth one.
Yeah, there's only 3 teams in that division. The whole different story, whole different thing.
Also, quickly to go back to Patriots Steelers. Patriots also got eliminated this week despite winning. So
really, nice.
Yeah, they are eliminated from playoff contention.
Nice.
So.
That's good to see.
So only 2 teams eliminated so far: the Patriots and the Panthers.
The Cardinals aren't eliminated yet?
Cardinals are not eliminated yet. There's still a chance somehow.
How?
Probably a lot of things going right. I would imagine. I mean, because the 7th spot in the NFC is 6-6.
Yeah, if they
with the
win
Packers.
If they win out, they technically are in a playoff picture.
Yeah.
I guess that.
Which what's that score looking at right now? Looks like the Packers are losing to the Giants right now. So.
Yeah, Tennessee's on the goal. Oh,
still tied.
Tennessee's about to kick a field goal. It's 4th and goal.
Nice. Love to see it.
Especially for your fantasy team, baby.
Yeah. Let's go. Missing out on the playoffs from points 4. The best way to miss out on the playoffs.
Yep. Yeah, but.
But yeah, I mean, for Bucs Atlanta, I mean, we obviously are starting to do this now, so we didn't post like preseason predictions or anything like that, but I did in my free time because I'm a fucking nerd. And I had the whole division going 6-11 besides the Saints, who I had finishing at 8-9 for the NFC South because I thought everybody sucked, and I didn't think any of the QBs were worth even watching, besides maybe some weeks of Derek Carr and Jameis whenever he would play. Which I think is still true. I think all the quarterbacks in that division are still terrible. But I was not expecting the Bucs to be 6-7. I like Derek Carr too,
Yeah.
but I'm extremely biased about Derek Carr, despite him being kind of a shit quarterback.
Fair. That's fair.
I just love Derek Carr, and I don't think that has anything to do with him as a player. I think I just like Derek Carr the person, so I pretend he's way better than he is.
He reminds me of a below average Andy Dalton.
Yeah.
Like Dalton could make the playoffs, Carr can't.
No.
But they remind me of the same person.
I don't know. The Saints can make the playoffs this year.
Yeah,
6-7.
Dalton never had to do it at under 500.
True.
In the AFC North.
And Dalton had a couple of pretty good years.
Yeah, we almost set the Bengals record for most wins in a season. He was in the MVP conversation that year. Then he broke his thumb. Then good old AJ McCarron.
Yeah, that was the 8-0 season, right?
Yeah, 8-0.
Where they lost to the worst playoff game in history.
Yeah,
the 18-15.
Yeah, there were 3 missed field goals in overtime, I think, against the good old Broncos. No, that was the Steelers.
No, that was the Steelers year. That was the one where both teams were trying to murder each other.
Yeah, the year before we lost in overtime to the Broncos with 3 missed field goals. Like they missed, we missed, or we missed, they missed, we missed, they made it. Something stupid like that. But yeah, that.
Can you imagine we went to college during that 2015 playoff game? We might have killed each other. Watching that game together, the Steelers Bengals playoff game.
I might have had it worse. I was at that game.
Oh, were you really?
Yep.
I didn't know you were at that game.
After the Jeremy Hill fumble, you could probably hear a pin drop anywhere in the stadium. It was silent. Even though my entire section was like, why don't we just kneel the football? Make them kick. We'll kick a field goal. Make them good on the field. But Marvin Lewis pulled a Marvin Lewis.
Yeah.
But
no, that was one of the greater wins I've ever seen in my life. I'm gonna be honest.
That was weird. I don't even know how to describe besides weird.
Yeah, that was a bad one. But yeah, Bucks Falcons was more competitive than it probably. Well, not more competitive than it probably should have been, but higher scoring than it should have been.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see who comes out on top of the AFC South.
Yeah, that whole division sucks. So it'll be. We're still on the cards though for an under 500 playoff team though, which is always one of my favorite things. So
seeing them play at home under 500 against like the Philadelphia Eagles, best game of the year.
Yep, it's gonna be awesome.
But
all right, Chicago, Detroit.
If the episode was able to be released last week, you and Jordan both called that.
Yeah, we would look geniuses.
Yes, and we'll probably post that clip because I think I have it recorded where Jordan said that he would have picked the Bears. So you might see part of last week's episode that never got aired because I done goofed.
You didn't record my voice.
Yeah. I was tired of your voice, so I was like, nope.
We're not doing it. Yeah. No, I mean, Detroit's still a really good team. They're still the best team in that division. But, I mean, you know how division games are. Chicago will win random games they're not supposed to in Chicago.
Yeah,
I don't think it's a bad loss for Detroit, honestly.
I feel like Chicago goes like, what is it? We play each other 3-3 in their division every year, and they just win at home against their division.
Yeah.
Like they'll win 5 games a year, and 3 of them will be at home against their division, for whatever reason.
Yeah, if I'm a Lions fan, I want to hit the panic button. They're definitely still probably going to win their division, especially with the way it's looking like for the Packers right now.
The only worry I have is their offense. Like they have such a high power offense, they just don't know how to use it.
Well, the issue is Jared Goff has started to regress.
What did he finish with?
20 for 35, 161, 1 touchdown, 2 ends.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he had that Thanksgiving game where he had 4 or 5 turnovers through fumbles. I mean, he's not looking like he looked at the beginning of the season, which is not going to be great for them.
Right?
Yeah, that was Packers, right?
Yeah, outside his division, he's fine. But for whatever reason, they just can't win in their division.
Yeah. Let me see. Thanksgiving game. Yeah, that was Packers Lions 29 to 22.
So I mean, once he gets to the playoffs, he should be fine, right? Technically speaking, hypothetically speaking,
should be fine. No one else should be making it.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, not in the NFC. I mean, the NFC. I mean, if they finish as the 3 seed, which they're projected right now, they're going to have to play the Vikings at the 6 seed.
I don't threat the Vikings anymore. Josh Dobbs, the Pastronaut has come back down to earth. So he got
fell to earth. Yeah,
Nick Mullins, which I'm thankful for because now Cincinnati plays them this week to keep their playoffs hope alive. So it'll be interesting to see. That's all I gotta say.
Live, yeah.
Oh, hello?
Oh, I can hear you now. We're good.
All right. What did you hear last?
Cincinnati keeping their playoff hopes alive against Nick Mullins.
So, yeah, Nick Mullins against good old JB6 instead of JB9. But
this year sucks.
What is it?
So many. They haven't broken the record for backup quarterbacks, but they're getting there, right?
I think we did. Well, no, we broke most through like a week 10 or something like that, or week 11. But I don't know if we beat like in a total season, because week 18 or week 17 throws in some random backup quarterbacks. Like Patrick Mahomes will probably sit. Patrick Mahomes, no, he's not going to sit out this year. I don't know if we'll get any.
I don't know if Mahomes will sit at this point.
I don't know. At this rate, I don't think we'll
maybe
get
Lamar.
any quarterback. The Dolphins could fight for the 1 seed.
I mean, it depends if they lose this game to Tennessee.
Yeah, the Ravens would have to be up by 2 games for them to sit Lamar. And right now, no team is doing that.
No, I mean, if you look at the picture, nobody can. I mean, the 49ers are top of their conference at 10-3.
There's still 4 weeks left, which is absurd. Jacksonville could have been winning their division the whole year, or Kansas City. When Denver started 1-5, they're a game back.
Yeah, and I mean, the Colts are game back, so is Houston, right?
Yeah, teams that have been leading their division all year could end up missing the playoffs.
Which is crazy, yeah.
If Kansas City misses the playoffs, holy cow.
Yeah, I mean...
I don't see it happening, but...
Yeah, it just... Especially, I mean, look at Kansas City's remaining schedule. They got the Patriots next week. They got the Patriots, then they got the Raiders at home, and then they got the Chargers in Week 18, and they have the Bengals at home. So, I mean, if Jake Browning keeps playing well, they probably drop that Bengals game, but I don't really see them dropping to the Raiders or the Patriots. And I guess maybe some weird traveling to Chargers, but I mean, that's going to be a home game for them in SoFi.
Well, how long is they didn't say yet how long Herbert's going to be out with his finger surgery. Which he could be.
Oh, dude, I forgot that Herbert. I forgot that Herbert was injured. You know what sucks is I have tickets for that Chiefs Chargers game on January 7th that I'm gonna have to watch. Not Herbert play probably. That's a shame.
Do you know what I found out the other day that I probably knew, but
should have waited to buy those tickets? I bought those tickets like 2 weeks ago. I bet they'd be a lot cheaper right now.
Oh, probably. But
damn.
Do you know what I found out the other day that I probably knew but forgot about? Trevor Lawrence is 6'7".
Oh yeah, he's tall.
He's a monster.
Yeah, no, he's one of the. There's very few quarterbacks who have been 6'7" or above.
Yeah, I didn't really think of it because you're always standing next to giant offensive linemen.
Well, that's why when he came out, he was the best prospect since what's his face, Andrew Luck.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. It's Andrew Luck, then you have Joe Burrow, then the year after that you have another Andrew Luck, which is funny to me. Because
oh no, Trevor Lawrence is 6'6". He's not 6'7".
6'7" with cleats, I should say then.
Ah, okay. Because it says the tallest NFL QB was this dude who was 6'8". I've never heard of him. What was his name? I just saw it a second ago. Dan McGuire.
Interesting.
He was drafted in '97. I have no clue who he played for. And then Mike Glennon is 6'7".
Mike Glennon? Really?
It's probably that neck, dude.
Oh, you're right.
He looks like he played. Where did Dan McGuire play? Played for Seattle, and then he played his last year in Miami. He has some terrible stats. Just absolutely, like, he has 745 career passing yards in a 6-year career. Like,
huh?
yeah, 2 touchdowns and 6 picks. Like, he didn't do much, but tallest ever QB, so that's cool. Well, tallest ever QB drafted, or that started, I guess. So let's get into indecency a little bit, right?
I was a little nervous going into this game, to be honest.
I mean, yeah, you guys were only -3 favorites.
Yeah, like it wasn't. It could have gone either way. I'm glad it was in Cincinnati and not in Indy.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jake Browning looks like not a seasoned vet, but like a quarterback that can
start and play in the NFL.
Yeah, like a starting quarterback. Which I get. I mean, it makes sense the more you learn about the guy. He started all 4 years in high school, threw 91 touchdowns his senior year of high school, became an instant starter at the University of Washington, like won the QB battle.
He was there for 5 years, right?
Yeah. He started all 5 years at Washington, knocked out their starting quarterback freshman year, had a winning record there all 5 years, and then got drafted late, I think. I don't know. And then never did anything in the NFL. Played on 4 different teams. He had 9 different transactions in the last 2 years. And now he's putting up 350 yards and 250 yards.
Yeah. I mean, 2 really good back-to-back games. I mean, he didn't have a great game against Pittsburgh. He had an okay game, 227, 1-1.
Your first game against a good defense is going to be brutal.
But two back-to-back games, 354 yards and a touchdown, 275 for 2.
Yeah, I saw. He has the highest.
And Jacksonville and Colts aren't bad defense.
Oh, not at all. I saw a stat. He has the highest completion percentage through 3 games as for any quarterback in history. At it was something like 76.8 or something like that. So
I don't know. We're gonna see. I mean, the Bengals definitely. I mean, when we saw Joe Burrow go down, I mean, it was Bengals are out. You know, they're gonna get that 10 to 15 pick range. You know, they're out of the conversation. This is a good year for them to draft O-line. Blah 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 blah. Right?
Yeah. People on my Twitter were talking about let's just tank for Brock Bowers. Get a good tight end. Yeah. Because right now we're using 4 different tight ends every week, which is
none of them are.
Who has 4 tight ends on their roster to begin with?
Right. And who's using all 4 of them consistently? Just the Bengals.
I will say 3 of them have been pretty good. Ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will say.
No, I mean they can make a playoff spot, 7-6.
I did not think that when Burrow after this whole year has been up and down for Cincinnati, and it's very confusing to me. But I will say what has probably helped Browning is we're actually using our running game along with our RB2 Chase Brown, who has popped off the 2 weeks he's played. And so Mixon's benefited from that. So it's weird seeing how good and different our offense is with our quarterback 2 in versus Burrow. Because when Burrow is in, we only used Mixon. The running game was not there. And then Burrow's out, and we are putting up 30 points a game. It's it doesn't make sense.
Well, I mean, again, you have you have a franchise QB, so you almost kind of want to stick with what works, right?
Yeah.
But when you have a backup come in, hey, can you get out of my sink, Athena?
Good old dogs.
Yeah, right. What are you doing, huh? What are you doing? But yeah, like you throw in a backup QB, and then all of a sudden you need to get a lot more creative with your offense. You know, you have a lot more limitations with Jake Browning, especially as, you know, I mean, he's really a rookie QB, right? I mean, he's been bouncing around, but he hasn't really had any play time.
No,
right?
Before this year, he had one career pass attempt or something like that.
Yeah. So
no.
yeah, I think your OC looks at that and says, yeah, let's change up. Let's try some other things. And they see more effective and working more effectively. And, you know, hopefully they do the same with Joe Burrow next year. But I don't know, depending on if you go on a playoff push, I mean, there could be some weird conversations that could happen. And it's definitely way too early to say any of that stuff, but it is always fun to have the thought experiment.
I think to even contemplate a conversation, we'd have to win the Super Bowl.
You don't think if you make a Super Bowl appearance
if we make
and lose?
Yeah, I guess if we make it to the Super Bowl, there'll be a conversation. But I don't think Browning would be week one starter the following year, even if we made it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of the same conversations people were having during that 11-0 season. The one where we had Mason and Duck starting. But again, of course, Steelers fans are having this conversation while they're sitting there at 9-8 and being like, what if Duck wins the Super Bowl? It's like, Duck's not going to win the fucking Super Bowl. But but that was the conversation they're having then too. It was like, well, what would it take for Big Ben to not be the starter next year? And people were saying, I think even if Duck Hodges somehow wins the Super Bowl, you probably still have Ben as your starter next year because Duck Hodges is not a capable starter.
No.
And again, I think Jake Browning's way better than Duck Hodges is.
But
it would take a lot.
Yeah, there's a reason he was,
especially after giving Joe Burrow that contract.
There's also a reason Browning wasn't playing for 4 years. Like,
yeah.
If Minnesota believed in him, they would have kept him or something, or whoever, the Raiders or whatever teams he was on. Like if a coach saw something in him, they would have kept him. Like,
and that's the thing that happens a lot with these, and we go through this. I mean, you saw the Josh Dobbs arc that happened 2 to 3 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. Josh Dobbs comes in, tears it up, looks amazing. He's the people's champion. Everybody loves Josh Dobbs. The Steelers were idiotic for getting rid of Josh Dobbs. How dare they? All right, Athena, I'll let you outside. How dare they, right? Like, the Steelers were idiots, like, especially looking at how bad Kenny Pickett and Trubisky have been. And then we look at the game that the Vikings had this week and the one from last week, too, and the one against the Bears. And you're like, well, Josh Dobbs isn't that good. No. And there's something that could easily happen like that with Jake Browning, where Jake Browning falls back to earth and people remember it's like, oh, yeah, this guy's a backup.
Once they get film on the player in that current offensive scheme, like,
people know how to play against it. Yeah.
Yeah. And
it's the same thing that happens with those interim coaches, too. Mm-hmm. Like, what's his face? Is it something Pierce? Who's the Raiders guy?
Marcus Pierce?
Maybe. No, I want to say Alex Pierce, but I'm pretty sure that's a white wide receiver.
Alex Pierce plays for the Colts. He went to the University of Cincinnati, baby.
Antonio Pierce. There we go.
But yeah, they won 2 games in a row, then they're back to earth.
Yeah, and the same thing could absolutely happen against Cincinnati. Next week, you guys go in to play
Minnesota.
Who you guys play next week? Play Minnesota. And somehow you could blow that game, right? Oh. And Jake Browning looks terrible, throws 3 picks to Minnesota defense. They win 10-3.
Minnesota defense is good, though.
It is, yeah. But again, it's a good defense he's going against, and he could fall back to earth. So any of those, the thought experiments are always fun, but they're never really worth going any further than a thought experiment.
Yeah, but I texted you the other day. It's like, we're lucky we have a good offense. Like, we have 2 wide receiver ones. We have serviceable tight ends. We have a good running back. It's like, And I saw a stat. The Bengals allowed the second least amount of pressures in the last 3 weeks with Browning as quarterback. So he's getting time to throw the ball, unlike Burrow had.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
And part of that, honestly, might come down a little bit to Burrow's play style, because Burrow does hold on to the ball for a while.
Yeah. A lot of Burrow sacks are his fault. But it gives... He try. I think he tries to look deep first. Where I saw a play against who'd we against the was it against the Steelers?
Might have been.
Yeah, it was against the Steelers. It was in the beginning of the game. What's his name? Trent Irwin, right down the middle of the field, no one within like 20 yards of him, completely wide open. And Browning does a dump off to Mixon for like -2 yards. And everyone was like, if that was Burrow, that's a touchdown to start the game. Like, that would have changed the entire game of that Steelers game, starting off with a 75-yard touchdown.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But being week 1, game 1, you're not looking 30 yards down the field.
Yeah, you don't look 30 yards down the field. You're going to look for your checkdowns.
Especially with TJ Watt coming off the side.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So, yeah.
And so we'll see how the next couple of weeks go, but would be kind of funny to have another kind of Drew Bledsoe, Tom Brady situation happen.
That would be funny. But
I would hate it. I would absolutely hate it. Yeah. If the Bengals win 7 Super Bowls, you're never seeing from me ever again. I'm going into hiding. I'm gonna get really into MLS or something, you know.
The ELF, the Elf League, baby, European Football League.
Yeah. I actually really like Premier.
Talking about American football in Europe, baby. Give me the Berlin.
Byron something, right?
They have the Byron Ravens.
Bayern Munich.
The Munich Raven. No, I'm talking about American football in Europe.
You're talking about the NFL Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget what those were.
We have the Frankfurt Galaxy. We have the Vienna Vikings. We have the Tyrol Raiders. We got the Barcelona Dragons.
Where did you spend time at in Europe? Was it Vienna?
Yeah, Vienna.
Yeah, so you would root for that one.
Yeah, or the Stuttgart Surge, because my cousin and her husband and their family just moved to Stuttgart. So yeah.
Nice. Good for them.
I got 2 teams.
Yeah.
But all right.
I got nothing. I lived in Germany when I was a baby.
You got the Berlin team.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to Jacksonville, Cleveland.
We gotta speed this up a little bit.
Yeah. Cleveland somehow put up 31 points with Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco is back, baby.
Joe Flacco's back. He's
book it.
Gonna lead the Browns to Super Bowl, win Super Bowl MVP, go to the Hall of Fame. It's gonna be crazy.
I saw a stat. Joe Flacco is 1 touchdown pass away from Kenny Pickett's season total.
Yeah.
Flacco has played 7 full quarters.
Which honestly, not surprising, even in the little bit, you know, like that's just, I don't know. It sucks that they signed it's crazy that Flacco still has an arm, honestly.
Why he was
the
like,
main takeaway.
What? I'll come play for the Browns was absurd.
Yeah. Lawrence also had a terrible game.
Oh, I was watching that game and it was like pick, fumble, fumble. It was like turnover after turnover.
And that Browns defense is a top 3 unit in the NFL.
They're top 3. I don't think they're 2 or 3.
You think they're the best unit in the league?
Yeah, they're giving up the least amount of points, least amount of yards. Like, it is hard to score on the Browns defense.
Yeah. No, they're really good. And I mean, this is really their window. I mean, it's so funny with the Browns, man. The way the ability for Cleveland just to shoot itself in the foot. Because they're kind of screwed after this year. I mean, they're paying Deshaun Watson massive money, and they're going to have to I think they got a couple of guys who are off contract this year.
Probably.
So they're going to have to they're going to lose a lot of people.
I think they just need to figure out what Watson's like 500 or something with the Browns. Like he's played like 10 games or something stupid. Like he has not been good. But
he's been terrible.
Yeah, but this is back to the Steelers real quick. How many career passing touchdowns does Kenny Pickett have? Do you know off the top of your head?
Oh, it's probably not double digits yet, huh? It's like probably 8.
It's 13.
Okay.
He has 13.
Good. Hey,
touchdowns.
Good job getting into double digits, Kenny Pickett. You're doing better than I thought you would.
That's true. But
dude, perfectly. Dude, he's got 13 touchdowns to 13 interceptions.
As things balanced as all things should be.
Perfectly balanced as all things should be. Career passer rating of 78.8.
Beautiful. And you guys wanted to draft him in the first round.
That was all right. We can't go into it too much because I'll rant about it for the next hour and a half.
Sure.
But it's absolutely. It makes so much sense. The Steelers organization was thinking back to when Dan Marino got drafted, and they're like, "Oh, we passed on Dan Marino fucking 30 years ago, so we can't make the same mistake again. We can't pass on another pick quarterback." And it's like, well, maybe we shouldn't think as Kenny Pickett as Dan Marino.
Yeah,
like just because they went to the same college and it's in the same city. I don't think Kenny Pickett, if he went somewhere else, probably would look better. I can almost guarantee he would look better, but he wouldn't look like Dan Marino.
No, I still wouldn't say he's a long-term starter in the NFL.
No, I think he's a great backup. He doesn't turn the ball over too much. I mean, he's smart with some of his progressions. I think he's a great guy you would want to have come in and play a couple of downs and not lose you a game. But he is not an NFL caliber starter.
No, I agree. But let's briefly talk about Carolina and the Saints.
Carolina sucks.
Yeah, we all saw this one coming. Derek Carr.
Bryce Young had a terrible stat line.
Yeah, Bryce Young, garbage. The Panthers led in time of possession, total yards, total plays, and still lost by 22, with Derek Carr playing bad for the entire first half of the game. How the line closed at 5.5 for the Saints versus Carolina is beyond me. I don't know how that happened. But
well, it's because New Orleans sucks too. I mean, it's a divisional game, and you got two terrible teams going at each other.
Yeah,
it's one of those things where like you can't put that line at -14. You know, I mean,
that's true.
Obviously, you would have hit it.
Could if they weren't in the same division, it was probably going to be like a Dolphins Tennessee at 12.5.
Yeah,
but there's not much to talk about there.
No, there's really not. I mean, the Panthers are terrible.
The
Saints are terrible, and I mean we're gonna see what happens to the NFC South. I mean, I think whoever is the 5 seed is getting a free win. I mean, I would love to see any of Tampa, Atlanta, or New Orleans beat the Eagles or Cowboys. Because that would just be hilarious. But it's not going to happen.
I think out of the 3 teams, the Buccaneers would just be random. I feel like Baker Mayfield would pull like he did with the Steelers and somehow have the game of his career in the wild card.
Yeah, no, I think Baker is the only one who has that upside. Maybe if Jameis is starting, he could have that upside too. Jameis will ball no matter the situation. So if Jameis is somehow cooking, Jameis will put up 500 yards and 5 touchdowns on you. You know,
and like 5 picks, but that's a whole different story.
He can overcome it.
Yeah, that's true.
Tampa's the only one who has a good enough defense, I think, though, to actually steal a game.
All right, Houston, New York. Halftime 0-0. I think there was like 200 total yards at halftime.
Terrible game.
Then
until the second half.
I think Aaron Rodgers and Zach Wilson did like a Freaky Friday kind of thing. And Aaron Rodgers was playing the second half as Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
Because
seems like a logical exploit.
Yeah, I don't see Wilson putting up 30 points himself. I don't know how. Yeah. I
mean, really, what happened was Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall just started balling out.
That's true.
I mean,
did you see what Wilson said to his defensive back after the game?
I did not know.
He was like, the interviewer, they were like, so like what happened? Like, why'd you play so well? And he was like, what are they going to do? Bench me again?
Yeah.
And I was like, that's fair enough. Fair enough.
It's a good point. Good point.
I was like, he's sitting on the sidelines making 32 mil or something like that because he was second
Yeah.
overall. Like, I'll take that gig.
No, I still think Zach Wilson sucks.
Oh, me too.
I don't think he's a starting caliber quarterback. I think he's barely a backup caliber quarterback.
He has his upsides, but
yeah, he has a higher upside than like maybe some other backups, but his floor, it's in the basement, you know.
But there's a reason he wasn't supposed to be a starter this year.
Yeah, he's not good.
The Jets' defense is the only reason they're somewhat anywhere near a playoff race.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if part of me wants the Jets to make the playoffs so bad, because it'd just be the funniest timeline.
Yeah, I agree.
CJ Stroud also had another bad game.
That's gonna happen as a rookie.
It is.
Especially.
But I mean, again, he's had one of the best rookie seasons ever. So we'll see if it continues, and hopefully he doesn't have too bad of a sophomore slump. He
went against a top 3-5 defense in a tsunami. Like, there's not much you can do on the New York field. No. Like, oof.
Yeah, in MetLife, which will kill people. Yeah.
Yeah. So, quick rundown of the Rams-Ravens. That was an exciting game. That was back and forth the whole time.
Yeah.
Rams scored with like 2 minutes left. Ravens went down, kicked a field goal to tie it right before overtime, or right before the end of the fourth. And then all hell broke loose with a 76-yard punt return.
Yeah.
I think.
No.
Maybe not 76.
Yeah. It was a long punt return or kickoff return, because it was a punt?
Yeah, 76-yard punt return.
Right. Yeah. So
there might have been a block in the back that they missed, but refs will ref, right?
So you know how you said you were going to post the clip of us talking about the Bears winning? Or are you going to post the clip of you saying the Rams were going to win by 7.5 points?
I am cutting this out too.
Or Miami winning by 25 against Tennessee.
Hey, they still have a chance. They just got a touchdown. They just got a touchdown.
Yeah, man. Yeah, they got a chance. 5 minutes left in the fourth, 20-13.
Hey, pick six.
We'll see what happens. Oh, by the time we're done with this podcast, this New York Giants Green Bay game might be over.
Maybe by the end of this
Green Bay's about
segment.
to get upset. Yeah, right.
But we don't have to do the draft today. We can wait.
We'll do it another time. I think we can just talk about the games.
Yeah, we're gonna do a 5-round draft. It was gonna be all cool. But
we did it last week anyways. Maybe we'll just post that. We'll just cut it in and just
I'll just
skip
make
my
it look
part.
Like Jordan and I were doing it the whole time. I actually talked about doing that. I was like, we'll just cut Tanner out.
Yeah, and it's just like, why did they not pick these 5 really cool helmets? Who knows?
We're done. But, so yeah, Ravens, we both hate the Ravens, but they look good.
They're the only... Well, again, they're also the only one with their starting quarterback in our division. So,
but like even outside our division, like they absolutely walloped Detroit.
Yeah,
we were just talking about how good Detroit was.
No, I mean, before the season started, I thought the Ravens team was arguably the best roster in the AFC.
They've had a very good roster the last 3 years. They've just been hurt, or 4 years, but they've just been hurt. Like that COVID year, they had 29 players hurt or like on the COVID list?
Something like that.
And then the last 2 years, Jackson's been out. Like,
and they finally have a season where they're not really that hurt.
No, I think they have almost all their starters playing. So yeah, they just look scary. I don't want them to do anything, but they look good.
No, they do. Are you joining today?
Yeah, we have a guest star.
Yeah. Yeah. What are your thoughts? I hate the Ravens too. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Look, she's even got the Steelers collar. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah. So I was about to mention it.
Yeah. Yeah. We hate the Ravens. We hate those rat birds.
But
they're really good though.
I don't even want to talk about them anymore. So let's go from a really good game to the complete opposite.
To the greatest game ever.
To the greatest game ever, where they can't blame the weather because both teams play in a dome.
And it was in Vegas.
Yeah.
So it was a dome and probably the best place to be in December.
They probably had the AC on, 76 degrees, pumping.
It was, yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, what? So the Vikings had, so the whole game was punts. It wasn't even like big turnovers, big defense plays. It was all punts, and the Vikings missed a field goal. And then they eventually made a field goal, but
they made a field goal 2 minutes left in the half.
Yep. Was it 2 minutes left in the game or 2 minutes left in the half?
2 minutes left in the second half. 2 minutes left in the game.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm looking at this. The over-under was 40.5. Why Vegas set it at 40.5 is absolutely ridiculous.
Well, because I mean, yeah, both these teams are good defenses, but
the Raiders,
they're not like
scored 25 points this year.
Yeah, but I don't know. I was not expecting it to be a 3-0. 40.5 is a little high. Considering like,
tell me how you can put that game at 40.5, but Carolina Saints at 38.5.
Well, that one's not that. The more egregious example is Minnesota Vegas at 40.5, and then LA Rams and Baltimore at 42. You know?
Yeah, I just say Dolphins just got another touchdown. They're up by 16. So 25.5 is looking reasonable.
Is it with 4 minutes left?
They just scored 2 touchdowns in 2 minutes. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you're still off base on that one.
If Tyreek and Waddle didn't get hurt, it's a whole different game. That's my excuse.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Let's get back to the more important thing, the Vikings.
Yeah, I mean, it was a punt fest. It was one of the worst games of football to ever exist. Vikings come out with the win, though, so good for them. Vegas is who I thought they were, just absolute dog shit.
This was the first time it was 3-0 since like 1970 or something.
Oh, it was ridiculous. Yeah,
it was the Steelers versus somebody. I forget who it was. It was a Steelers game, but yeah. But that time the grass was a mud. The ball was sticking everywhere. It was a pouring down.
Yeah, it was a hurricane. Yeah.
But yeah, the Minnesota didn't even cover the spread because it was -3, so they pushed it.
What a great game to bet on.
Yeah. Oh, I will say I forgot to mention the Jets in Houston had an immaculate half. Every single drive ended in a punt.
That's beautiful.
Yep.
You love to see it.
Oh,
it doesn't get much better than that.
That's why punters get paid.
They sort of get paid.
They get paid more than we do.
Yeah. Yeah, they do.
Seattle, San Francisco. As soon as we saw Drew Lock starting, we knew that it was over.
Yeah.
Metcalf got ejected because he's a crybaby. That's why he wears the pacifier mouthpiece. But I wouldn't say that to his face because he'd beat the crap out of me.
He would destroy you.
I am not 6'8", pure muscle.
You'd still call him a bitch, though. You know, you just have to run.
He has the fastest speed in all of NFL this year, so I'm not going to be doing that one.
Yeah, don't really stand much of a chance. To be fair, he might not even have the energy to go beat your ass, you know?
That's true.
So if he did run, you might be safe.
But yeah, Brock Purdy is still throwing checkdowns to Deebo Samuel for 50 yards.
Well, I think with the ways these goes out, and we'll finish up with Philly Dallas here in a little bit, but I mean, San Fran, I really do think I think Philly losing that game to Dallas puts Philly closer to Dallas and not Dallas closer to San Fran. I think San Fran is in a league of its own in the NFC. They're a ridiculously high-powered offense. They have one of the best defenses in the league. They can do anything. And they hit their midseason slump at the perfect time, and now they just get to go on a tear.
Yep, and that makes me so sad because the Bengals absolutely destroyed them. And now we don't get to do anything for it.
Nope. And, I think if you played that game with the two current squads, I think San Francisco would blow the Bengals out of the water, this San Francisco team's crazy. I don't know what else there really is to say. I think they're easily going to run away with the NFC. And
the turning point was Chase Young. They added an extra pressure off the edge. Their defense just took it to another level.
And it's just unfair.
Yeah. But let's skip the Buffalo game for a sec. Denver, there's not much to talk about besides Herbert's injury.
I mean, the Chargers suck.
The Chargers the Chargers need a new coach.
Staley needed to get fired like a year and a half ago.
Yeah, I don't know how you have that offense and go 5-8.
Throw up I mean, and they've thrown up some ugly score lines this year too.
6-0 last week, 7 points this week.
They've been atrocious. Yeah. I mean, hopefully, my only hope is the Steelers front office will get out of 1962, and will trade the farm for Justin Herbert.
I would hate that, but I would love it at the same time.
Yeah, it'll never happen. Chargers will never give up Justin Herbert. The Steelers will never trade for a quarterback. Yep. But you throw Justin Herbert on the Steelers, and they're winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Denver, I don't know what happened to them. They were 1-5. I think maybe one team in history has made the playoffs after starting 1-5, and they have a shot at winning their division. It's unlikely from what we said earlier. But still, absurd turnaround.
They look good. I mean,
their defense is hitting stride. Well, their defense has been there all year. Their offense is finally connecting. Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, Russell Wilson doesn't look terrible.
About to retire.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but
my thing with the Broncos though is I don't think it's sustainable. The Broncos, they win games in some weird fashions. This one was a blowout. This was a deserved win for sure. But a lot of times it comes down to Russell Wilson scrambling around in the pocket for 5 to 10 seconds, and then Cortland Sutton making one of the greatest catches you've ever seen in your life. And they've won like 3 games off of that formula.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the game.
They've also lost it against Houston 2 weeks ago.
True. But again, that's what I'm saying. The formula is not sustainable. Like they couldn't make it work against Houston, I think. And again, I think it's because Houston's the better team. So yeah, the Broncos could make the playoffs, but I think there's just too many teams ahead of them in the AFC. And I think someone like the Bills, who is below them, I think would have a higher chance of making it than they do.
The only reason I disagree with you is because their final schedule is Detroit, New England, Chargers, Vegas. And Detroit is next week. So yeah, they might lose next week, but then they'll probably go 3-0 the rest of the week. Or the rest of the season.
Yeah, and what that puts them at 10 wins.
Yeah, and I think 10 puts you in the playoffs.
It probably does. Yeah. But we'll see. I mean, it's 2 division games back to back. That's going to be really tough for Denver.
Yeah, that's going to take a toll. And it, like we've mentioned it before, division games are division games. The Bears are 4 and something.
But Bills have the same thing with them too. I mean, they played Patriots, Dolphins last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So.
So you mentioned the Bills. Let's jump back to the Bills game. One of the greatest plays that never was.
Yeah.
And as Patrick Mahomes said, you can't call a penalty even if he's offsides because it will affect Travis Kelce's Hall of Fame resume.
Yeah, it was weird because the thing is like Mahomes has had some pretty bad losses in his career besides this, you know?
Yeah.
And it was weird how he took such a personal effect to this game.
He threw a temper tantrum on the sideline, ranted to Josh Allen at the end about how it was the stupidest effing call in the world, like yada, yada, yada.
Which is weird because, I don't know, like they've owned Buffalo every year. So it's not like this is like they keep losing to Buffalo in these weird circumstances. I mean, they beat Buffalo every time. That's true. But when it matters is when they beat Buffalo.
Yeah. But yeah, like Kadarius Toney didn't even look at the side judge or the line judge. Like if he looked, and they pulled a Houston one earlier this year where he looked confirmed, or no, was that Houston or Washington? Last year, Washington, he checked with the line judge. The line judge says he's good. He looked back and threw the flag right away. If that happened, whole different story. but Tony was a foot off sides, didn't even look, and yeah.
I mean, Kadarius Toney is terrible.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't do anything at a professional level correctly.
Chiefs are easily 10-11 wins on the season without Tony.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he lost them the Detroit game by himself.
He didn't lose them this game, but he cost them this game.
He did. He cost it this game. But, I mean, that Detroit game he cost for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, and again, Mahomes was upset about that. It was a 2nd and 10. They had the opportunity to get another play to make it work.
Yeah, and they didn't.
Buffalo, there was still like a minute left in the clock. Buffalo could have even gone down and scored if that would have counted. This seems like a really weird situation for Mahomes to be so upset about.
Yeah, I don't
just
know.
because I don't think this is the worst loss of his career. I don't think it's a really like egregious loss. I think he's just frustrated because of how bad his supporting cast has been.
Yeah, he just doesn't have wide receivers.
Yeah, he only has Kelsey.
Yeah,
you know?
I think though.
And his whole thing about the Hall of Fame career, Kelsey's in the Hall of Fame.
No,
like
that's just dumb.
Yeah.
But I love that they've never mentioned once. They've never said that he wasn't offsides. Every single time Andy Reid, Mahomes mentioned it, they're like, he was offsides, but you can't throw a flag there. Like, you can't do it. Like, what do you mean you can't call a penalty when there's a penalty? Like, just because that has been happening to you doesn't mean it will continue. Like, rules are rules. If you stop calling rules, that takes away the game.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you see it a lot of times with like how much they've been trying to help the offense in the last couple of years. I mean, the best defenders get held on every play.
Oh yeah,
and is that the type of game you want where there's just blatant penalties happening and you're always just not calling them because you're like, oh well, we need these things to happen. The offense is already favored enough, like they need to call offsides if it happens.
Yeah, and like with all the rule changes on defensive backs, like wide receivers nowadays are so good. You can't one-on-one wide receivers anymore. So like,
no, you can't.
They need to I think they need to loosen up on the hold. Like when they put an arm like here and it kind of runs along their back, that's not going to affect anything. Like,
no.
If you see the jersey stretch and pull or a whole body turn, call it. But, like, if your hand is on his hip, like, that's... Yeah. Wide receivers are so good. And props to them. Like, they're just really good at what they do. But the league has gotten soft in every aspect.
And it sucks especially for defense.
Yeah, that's why teams usually put up 25 plus points a game. It's like it's easier to score until you get the Vikings and Raiders.
When you take two teams that don't have an NFL offense.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at any of the best defenders, you know that they have to play a more difficult game than the best offensive players. I mean, look at players like Aaron Donald, TJ Watt, Myles Garrett. They get held 4 to 5 times on a drive.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if they weren't allowed to hold, I mean, we would be looking at a race between like Khalil Mack, TJ Watt, Myles Garrett at like 25 sacks right now.
I don't think Hendrickson would be at 25, but he'd be in the 20s.
Yeah.
Hendrickson gets held a lot. I love that he doesn't get talked about a lot. Like he's really good. He has a very high pressure rate, but he's just not a TJ Watt.
He was the one he plays in a division with two of the best.
Yeah, Myles Garrett and TJ Watt.
Yeah, you're not going to get talked about when you're miles below those guys. You know,
he has a better pressure rate than both of them. He leads the NFL in pressure rates. But
he was the guy who had the touchdown, right, in the Ravens game, the 99-yard touchdown, or was that Logan Wilson dude?
That was
Sam Hubbard. That's right.
Yes. Other side of the ball.
Yeah, too many white defensive players on the Bengals.
Hey, I'll take it. But all right.
Last game.
One of the Monday night games just ended, so we'll talk about that too.
Oh, Green Bay pulled out the win.
Green Bay lost.
Oh, my thing is not updated. But oh shit! Green Bay lost.
Green Bay lost. But Dallas, Philadelphia. Dallas like the 49ers, I think are clicking at the right time.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott is absolutely on fire.
Oh, yeah.
I think they said he had 22 touchdowns in the last 7 weeks or something like that, which is absurd. The Eagles, I don't think they're not as good as they were last year. They have a lot more weaknesses. Jalen Hurts isn't playing as good as he was last year.
No.
But yeah, CeeDee Lamb is top 3 wide receiver this year easily.
Oh. CeeDee Lamb's been crazy.
Top 2. Tyreek's number 1. Who would you put 2?
Justin Jefferson got injured this year, so you can't really put him there. Jamar Chase hasn't. He's had some really good games, but he hasn't done a whole lot this year.
Chase, he broke his reception record for his career this year.
He did, yeah.
Good for him.
But he hasn't been playing to the level of CeeDee Lamb.
Well, no, because Burrow's been hurt. He's at a backup, and he's been hurt.
Yeah.
But yeah, CeeDee Lamb has the second most receiving yards in the NFL. It's like it helps when your quarterback is throwing for 500 yards a game.
Let me go look at the receiving yard leaders real quick.
From last week, it was Hill, Lamb, Allen, Brown, Chase. But I don't know what it might be the same this week. Maybe flip flop a couple because those.
AJ Brown still has a little bit more yards. It's very close.
Than who?
So, to CeeDee Lamb.
Oh,
so Tyreek Hill
has jumped him.
Yeah, so Tyreek Hill has 1481.
Oh, yeah.
Not counting for the game that's being played right now.
Mm-hmm.
AJ Brown has 1258 and CeeDee Lamb has 1253.
Crazy.
And I can't see their touchdown. Oh, there we go. They're very close to each other. AJ Brown has 7 touchdowns. CeeDee Lamb has 8 touchdowns. So I was going to say AJ Brown in that conversation too.
He's so quietly good. Like,
yeah,
no one covers him. Like, not. Well, he doesn't need to be covered, but like, no news analysts no news outlets are like, oh, let's talk about AJ Brown. It's always Jason Kelsey or Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, but he's arguably one of the reasons why they're so good.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to Nico Collins for getting over 1,000 yards this year. Good for him.
I like Nico Collins.
I do too.
Yeah, let's run through the Packers game real quick, and then we can send it over to George. Let's look at the Packers real quick, and then we'll talk about next week. We'll talk about Tennessee, then we'll send it over to Jordan, and then we'll
call it there. Yeah,
we'll call it there.
So I'm looking at the stats right now because I didn't watch it. Tommy DeVito, 17 to 21, 158. Not an exciting game, but efficient.
Short. I think when was this pick? There was a pick somewhere. Was that a costly pick?
Was
no.
Jason
It was not.
Pinnock.
It was 10-7. Or it was 7-7 at that time. And the Giants got 7 yards afterwards. So that pick.
But we talked about it a little bit last week when the Packers were winning a bunch. They were talking about the Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love pipeline. And again, a game where Jordan Love played okay, but definitely not. Again, a lot of hype really early on for somebody who still is very early in his career.
Yeah, but
which people love to do.
it happens. Everyone's like, "Oh, next Tom Brady, next."
Dude, Tommy DeVito had 10 carries for 71 yards. Sorry, that's crazy.
Italian can
run. Dude, what?
But it looks like the Giants won on a game-winning field goal.
Good for them. Good for the Giants ruining the draft pick even more.
Yep. 37 yards to win it.
How does that change the playoff picture? I'm sure that knocks the Packers down quite a bit, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
It says them already at 6 and 7. It says they're still in 7th place, but I'm assuming someone like the Rams or even maybe some of those NFC South teams will probably pass them.
This Tennessee game's getting real good. 27-21. Tennessee has the ball at the 6-yard line, 2nd and 3.
Oof. We'll have to talk about it next week after we watch the highlights.
But Green Bay sitting at 6-7. I don't know what the tiebreaker is over the Rams in Seattle and Atlanta and New Orleans.
Yeah, but I don't know. It looks like the Packers might fall out of it again.
Are we going to get 2 playoff teams sub 500?
That'd be awesome.
I hope so.
One can hope. Or, I mean, we could even get 3. Vikings at 7-6, It could get weird.
It can get freaky.
I mean, that Vikings team kind of sucks.
Yeah, they do.
So, I mean, we have 3 teams in the NFC that have a below 500 record, and
that's true.
There's nothing better than that.
Yeah. But all right, while we wait for the Dolphins game to end, let's jump into next week. We'll run through this quickly. We've been going for how long now?
Probably a while. I feel like we've been talking a minute.
We're
about an hour.
Recording for an hour, but we didn't start
Okay.
right away. But that's okay.
Okay.
But
Well, okay, so we're doing all right. We're doing all
we're
right.
fine. It's our first episode.
Because we went, and we went an hour and a half last week, so we're doing better.
So Thursday night, another rivalry game. Fighting for absolutely nothing. Justin Herbert's already ruled out, so it's another battle of the backups with Easton Stick, a hockey stick manufacturer, versus Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah, terrible game. That's going to be awesome.
I think the only way they could make this game better is if they wore throwback jerseys.
Oh, that'd be cool.
And I think that's what they should do with Thursday Night Football, because Throwback Thursday Night Football, more people would watch. That's my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinions. But
I think it's a good idea. I also think nuking Thursday Night Football is also a good idea.
either nuke it or make it special.
Yeah.
Like the Color Rush ones were fun for the first year Nike took over, or the second year Nike took over, because it added something new. Like if every team wore a throwback jersey on Thursday and painted the field retro, I'd watch it more often.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then we get our first Saturday game of the year with Cincinnati and Minnesota. Another battle of the backups.
It's so bad. Dude, I'm looking at that third game too. Also,
Battle of the backups.
Derrick Henry for a touchdown, by the way.
Oh, snap. All right, let's get through this so we can talk about that.
All right.
Minnesota versus Cincinnati. Maybe a good game. Maybe a blowout.
Dude,
We're at home.
knows?
Cincinnati's at home, which is a benefit to them.
yeah.
I think it's going to kind of be a repeat of this week, Cincinnati-Indy. I think we might win by 20. Maybe not by 20, but I think 14. Like I don't think what's his name? Nate Mullins can do much. Like
How dare you say his name wrong? It's Nick Mullins.
Nick.
All right.
Is it Nick? I thought it was Nate. It's
Nick.
Mullins.
Yeah.
Nick Mullins.
He was the best Shanahan quarterback before
true.
they got Brock Purdy.
I was just about to say he played for the Niners. But like our defense is still good. Yeah, we're missing our CB1 because Cam Taylor Britt's out. Like we have everyone else healthy on our defense. Our offense is healthy besides Burrow. It's like we're still a complete team minus our quarterback. But if Browning plays,
this is it all comes down to how Browning's going to play. If Browning plays well, this is easy. This is an easy Cincinnati win. But if he falls back to earth, if Josh Dobbs randomly has a really good week and Jake Browning doesn't, I wouldn't feel confident picking any team in that one. Just because there's too many
variables.
There's too many question marks all over the field.
Yeah. I will say I take the spread at 3.5 with Cincinnati. I don't see us losing by more than 3. If anything, Minnesota wins on a game-winning field goal.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But again, Minnesota good defense. If Jake Browning has a bad game, could get weird.
It's going to be up in the air. I will say
it wouldn't be one I would bet on, honestly.
No, not at all.
I would probably just avoid that one.
Yeah, I don't know how.
Maybe take under 39.
No, because if Browning pops off, that's going to screw him.
Yeah, they could score 30. Yeah.
But looking at these first 3 games, it's very satisfying looking at the records.
Yeah, 5-8, 5-8,
7-6, 7-6.
Yeah.
2 of the games are for playoff implications.
Yeah.
because then we're coming up with Pittsburgh and the Colts with another battle of the
And again, we talked about it earlier. Pittsburgh has won 8 straight against the Colts. This is just the Steelers are going to lose back-to-back weeks against 2-10 teams, and now that Indianapolis is favored and they're finally not favored in a game, that's Mike Tomlin's music, baby. He's coming in for the win.
Going into Indianapolis, yeah.
I see the vision. Call it bias, call it what you want to see, what do you want to call it, but that's just how the Steelers operate. They do the things you don't expect them to do, and they don't do the things you expect them to do.
Your team is weird. Mitchell Trubisky is going to play like he did at why he was drafted in the first round.
I never thought I would say this, but I just wish they would start Mason. What a terrible spot we're in.
That's weird. But all right, let's jump over to Denver, Detroit, which should be another good game. There's these games this week so far.
See, now this is one I would feel better about betting on. I don't think Detroit wins by more than 5 points.
Detroit is favored by 5.5 away.
Yeah. No, it's at home. It's in Detroit.
I was thinking Denver. I read Denver. I was like, Denver's favored by 5 at away? Okay, Detroit? No, yeah. That's a weird... Their offense is weird, though, and we talked about it earlier. If they played non-division games,
if Jared Goff plays
30 points.
Yeah, if Jared Goff plays well, then.
Yeah, but yeah, their defense is going to let up a lot. I could see it being like 28-24.
Yeah.
27-24. So yeah, that would be an interesting game. Let's jump over to Chicago, Cleveland. Which
also another weird one. I mean, Cleveland. It's funny that they're only giving Cleveland a -3. I mean, and again, I think it's just because Cleveland can't score. Actually, they just scored a ton last week. But again, I mean, does Joe Flacco return back to earth? Does he still look like a guy who recently came out of retirement? Like
against the Bears, though.
The Bears suck, but I mean, Justin Fields will randomly have good games.
But against one of the best defenses, like I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely would take the Browns.
Yeah.
Over Chicago, but I can see why they would only give it a -3 spread.
If I was a bettor, these first 5 games,
not really a huge fan of any of them.
Not fun. And then following it up with Tampa Bay at Green Bay, both 6 and 7. Like,
it's in Green. I think honestly, for a lot of these 6 and 7 NFC teams, I think your best strategy is just to take who's at home.
Yeah.
Because these teams are just so mediocre and don't do anything like particularly well that like I can't feel good about taking Tampa or Green Bay, you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I mean, I think I lean more towards Tampa just because I feel like they have more to fight for than Green Bay does. But I mean, really, if Baker plays well, they'll win. If Baker plays terribly, they'll lose. It's really what it's all going to come down to.
Every game comes down to quarterback. Jordan Love plays well, they might win. Baker plays well, they might win.
Yeah, so, and that's all there is to them. I mean, they're both pretty decent defenses. But yeah, I mean, just there's nothing exciting about either of those teams, and really picking who's going to win, and I feel like it's more of a coin flip than.
No, yeah. But then we got Houston, Tennessee. If Stroud clears concussion protocol, Houston should win.
They're actually giving Tennessee -2 odds at home.
Yeah, I know. But that's probably because Collins is hurt, Stroud's in concussion protocol. That line's going to be pushed.
Could be. But again, I mean, Tennessee's about to beat a healthy Miami.
It's true.
Or wait, no, Tyreek. No, Tyreek's still in the game, right?
Tyreek came back. He came back late third quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tennessee's such a weird team this year. 4-8, but they've beaten good teams. Well, besides the hurt Cincinnati team.
Yeah. No, Tennessee. I think this is probably one of the more exciting Tennessee seasons they've had since that 1 seed season.
They went
which I guess was only 2 years ago, huh?
Seed.
They weren't back to back, right? Last year they weren't.
No, a couple years ago. They went back-to-back 1 seed 1 year, 2 years in a row, I think.
Did they? No, I don't think they did.
They were a 2 seed then.
Yeah, there was something like that. Regardless, they haven't been exciting since those 2 seasons, and this is actually the most exciting they've been, just because of there's
how weird
more things going on.
And then we hop over to the Jets in Miami. Miami apparently has come down the earth with the struggle against Tennessee, going against a
They just got sacked 4th and 2.
But then going against a very good Jets defense that gave Tua struggles last time on Friday. Yeah, they won, but that was also against Todd Bowles.
I mean, I think Miami's going to have to bounce back. I mean, they just lost to Tennessee.
It's over?
Well, Tua just took a sack on 4th and 2 with 20 seconds left.
Yeah, game over.
They're out of timeouts, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, looking at that, I mean, Miami's going to have to make a bounce back against New York.
At least they have a couple games to drop in their division, which
they do.
Shocking with Buffalo in that division.
Right.
Yeah.
But this is a bad game for Miami to drop. They should not be losing to Tennessee.
Not at all. But they need to bounce back against New York with Zach Wilson, nothing to lose.
And Zach Wilson's not putting up 30 points and a half again.
No.
No matter the level Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall are playing.
Nope. But then I have the first actual comfortable betting game with Kansas City and New England.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So that's a good
Kansas City having all these struggles. They're going to beat the shit out of the Patriots.
Yeah. And then Kansas City's going to take a beating out of New England. Then we go to the other New York team and the Saints, which that's just a weird matchup again. The Giants just beat the Packers. The Saints are weird. This week is brutal.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one to bet on lines because there's really not like a whole lot of safe call. I mean, it's just because honestly the product has been we'll have to like look at injury reports and stuff like that, but I just also think a lot of these teams suck. There's so many backup QBs, there's so many things going on. And the thing is like 2 to 3 weeks ago I would have felt really comfortable taking New Orleans over New York.
Oh, me too.
But I don't know, maybe the Giants have weird. I mean, the Giants aren't even eliminated. I mean, the Giants could make the playoffs with Tommy DeVito. I almost called him Danny. Tommy DeVito.
I call him Danny all the time now.
Yeah.
But then we go to Atlanta, Carolina. Carolina's not going to.
Yeah, see, this is an easy one. Carolina's terrible. I mean,
Ritter struggles, but he still finds a way to keep games close and win games.
Yeah.
And against a crappy Carolina defense, like if Carolina wins this one, it'll be off a miracle. I mean, they're terrible. It is a division game. They're at home. It makes sense why it's only Atlanta favored by 3. Yeah.
But I wouldn't bet on Carolina winning this one. I think Atlanta's going to easily win. But if Carolina does have another win on their schedule, it is probably this week. I mean, I'll look at the rest of their upcoming games. But
while you do that, I'm going to bring up Washington, LA. In LA, I think that should be a pretty easy one for the Rams.
That should, I agree.
The line's currently 6.5. And with how they played last week against the solid defense, I don't think Washington should give them struggles.
No, I don't think so either.
With a healthy Kupp and a healthy Nakua and a healthy Kyron Williams, like their offense is solid.
Really good. But Sam Howell can put up against really bad defenses.
Sam Howell's interesting. That's another. We'll see in a couple years if he's going to be a starter or not.
Yeah, I mean, I still feel really safe taking the Rams to win that one. Yeah. I don't know how I feel about a 6.5 spread. I don't see the Rams winning by a touchdown just because of how bad both of those teams are. But I definitely would take the Rams pretty comfortably.
Yeah.
In terms of the Panthers' schedule, this is probably their best chance at a win. I mean, they have 3 more home games. They have one against the Packers. I feel like the Packers are probably they're way better than the Panthers. They have to go to Jacksonville. They're going to lose that. And then they have at home against the Bucks. And I like the Bucks more than I like the Falcons. So I would feel more comfortable taking, if they're going to win another game, if they're going to go 2-15 instead of 1-16.
I think they're done. They're checked out. Their team is.
Yeah. It's just you don't see 1-16, 1-15, 1-16 teams a lot. So I mean, they might be able to.
Arizona was 1-15 last year.
Were they?
Maybe 2-15.
No, I think Arizona won 2 games.
I think they won like week 17.
Yeah. So again, it's hard for a team to go again, like when the Browns and the Lions went 0-16. It's hard for a team to lose that many games.
The Browns were on a different level, 1-15, and then an 0-16.
Yeah,
unprecedented.
unprecedented.
Talk about the Cardinals. They're going to get absolutely destroyed by San Francisco. The line is already 13.5.
And honestly, I would feel comfortable taking that.
Yeah, I felt like that when you mentioned the 25.5 against Tennessee with Miami, but
no, you were wrong. Not very close.
Not at all. Somehow, Tennessee came back with 4 minutes left. They were down by 16.
Yeah.
Then we go from San Francisco and Arizona to Dallas and Buffalo. Even though Buffalo's 7-6, that should be a good game, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's in Buffalo too. I mean, Bills are actually favored. Yeah, they're at a -2.5.
I think that line will move by Sunday.
Oh, for sure.
But still, Buffalo at home is good, especially in December. With that weather in play, that would be interesting. Because if the Cowboys
Josh Allen might not be Mr. January, but he can definitely be Mr. December.
If the Cowboys have to rely on their running game, I don't think they win. They have to throw the ball.
I don't. Yeah, they need to.
Pollard and Dwindle, I don't like it.
I don't like it either. But I think we'll go into picking a game of the week in a second, but that is a very good contender.
And then let's follow that up with the Sunday night game, Baltimore in Jacksonville. I think I said it last week with the Rams, but I think it could be another trap game for Baltimore. The Rams almost did it. I'll give them that much. You didn't think they had a shot. I said they could have won. It took an immaculate punt return. But I feel like
I didn't say they couldn't do it. You said that that Rams were going to win by 7.5. Yeah. Let's not try to manipulate that one. Don't try to gaslight me.
No one has to know that, okay?
I just did not think the Rams were going to win by more than one touchdown. But I could see Jacksonville winning this. They're on the well, actually no, they don't have their. It depends on Lawrence's status.
He played this week.
Oh yeah, that's right. He got injured the week before. Duh.
But so Jacksonville's lost 2 in a row. They need to win the division. So
they have people creeping up on them. Mm-hmm. This could be a trap game for Baltimore, and Baltimore, they've been rolling, so it could be about time for them to drop a game.
And right before the playoffs isn't a bad time to do it.
No, I would probably still take Baltimore just because they're on paper so much better than Jacksonville.
Oh yeah.
But it is an interesting game, and I think it will at least be fun. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is going to throw another 3 picks.
No, the Ravens' defense is not the Browns' defense.
No.
Then we close it out with a Monday night game, Eagles in Seattle. I think the Eagles bounce back.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't think they're going to drop another game like that. They've already dropped 2 in a row.
Yeah. And against a wounded
Seahawks. If Geno plays, it will be a little bit more interesting, but if it's Drew Lock, it's not going to be very interesting at all.
Oh. So those are next week's games. The 1 o'clock games are brutal. Those could go either way.
Yeah, it'll be a fun red zone week for sure.
Oh yeah, but so in sake of time, pick a must watch and stay away from. And I'll either disagree or agree, and if I disagree, I'll pick another game.
I'm gonna say stay away from Kansas City, New England. I don't think that one's gonna be interesting. I think it's just gonna be a blowout.
If you're a Kansas City fan, you're gonna be enjoying it.
Yeah, you're gonna have a great time, but that's not. This isn't like a punt fest piece of shit game that is gonna be boring to watch. It's just gonna be a blowout.
Yeah.
And in terms of a most interesting, I'm probably gonna go with Dallas Buffalo. I think of all the matchups we have, I honestly the last 3 games, good job on the primetime slots. They actually they finally did it.
Yeah, I was gonna mention Baltimore, Jacksonville, like we just said. But yeah, Seattle is so up and down. They almost beat the Cowboys.
I also think Rams Commanders is going to be sneakily fun.
It'll be interesting to see what happens.
I don't think the Commanders are a good team, but I think they both have pretty bad defenses, and I think they have pretty good offenses.
Yeah. The
So I think it will be.
Yeah.
I think it will be a kind of a fun game, actually.
That could be a must. Tune in.
I'll go with that one instead to be different. I'll go with Rams Commanders. I think that's going to be a fun game. I can't wait for that to be 16-12.
Yeah. I think a must-watch game with what's on the line for both teams. Not as much Detroit, but Denver. I think a Denver-Detroit game should be fun.
Should be.
Doggo.
Really? Right as we're wrapping up.
But yeah, my stay away will probably be you could stay away from San Francisco, Arizona as well. Like,
yeah, that should be a blowout
game. But I would say stay away from the Giants Saints game. Like, that's gonna probably be 13-10 final score. Did you just say that too? With the Commanders?
I said you should watch Commanders Rams.
Oh yeah, but yeah, I'm saying stay away from the
yeah.
Giants game.
No, I could agree with that. I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not going to be unless Jameis is playing, and Jameis is much watch TV. So
yeah, that's true. But yeah, with that all being said, let's send it over to the Locksmith and JPry the Sports Guy.
Yeah! My name's JPry the Sports Guy, a.k.a. the Locksmith. I got 5 guaranteed locks for you today, and if you're a gambling man, I'd recommend listening to a word I said because I was piss drunk when I made this. Oh, what, you thought I was kidding? We don't kid around here. That's straight whiskey. Our guaranteed locks start on this Saturday whenever the Denver Broncos go out to Detroit to go face the Lions. And guess what? Detroit's gonna take home that W. My reasoning is that Detroit has been playing some mediocre-ass football as of late, and Denver has been on their high horse. Get it?
Yeah, that was a knee slapper.
Then on Sunday, the Giants are going down to New Orleans to go take on the Saints. And I'm letting y'all know right now, that boy DeVito, I might be a Cowboys fan, but that boy DeVito is crazy. And I'm letting you know right now that if Derek Carr plays, he better look out. Because DeVito's agent definitely knows somebody who knows somebody that's going to take him out. Oh, that's good. Speaking of the NFC South, we got ourselves another marquee matchup between the Carolina Panthers and the Atlanta Falcons. And I'm letting y'all know right now, them 1-12 Panthers gonna end up winning this game. And that is a lock, my friends. My reason being is, hey, I might have gone to school in Texas, I might have flunked out in half my classes, but I do know that the law averages states that every team in the NFL has to win at least 2 games. Okay, maybe that's not necessarily true, but I'm letting y'all know right now, the Carolina Panthers are going to accidentally win this game, and that is a lock, my friend. Yay! Then next on our list, we got Pat facing the Pats. That's right, Patty Mahomes and the Chiefs are going out there to New England to go face Mac Jones and the Patriots. Now I'm letting y'all know right now, Pat Mahomes is pissed. Y'all see him whenever he was dabbing up Josh Allen, he is pissed. And I'm letting y'all know right now, ain't nothing scarier in this world than a pissed off Kermit the Frog. So, it doesn't matter if it's Mac Jones, Mac Miller, Mac and Mouse, I'm taking Kermit for the win in this bitch. That's a lock. Then last on our dog of the games that I guarantee are gonna end the way that I say that they're gonna end is the Dallas Cowboys are gonna march out there to Buffalo and go whoop some ass. I'm telling y'all right now. The only bill that's going to get a win in Buffalo this weekend is the $100 bills that the Dallas Cowboys put in some strippers' G-strings. I'm letting you know right now, Josh Allen's throwing 2 picks, one of which will be to Deron Bland for 6. And that is a log, my friends. Thank you so much for your time. I'm going to send it right on back to our host. Yeah!
Thanks, JPry the Sports Guy, for those locks of the week. Let's see if you're right next week. We'll see what happens. But I know we went very long this week, as in the first week. But thank you for watching or listening on anywhere you listen to your podcast. Follow all of our social medias that have been popping up on the bottom of this screen. And thanks for watching the #1 sports podcast that launched this week. And we'll see you next week. Peace.
Adios.